Okay, thanks Justin for your wonderful talk on HTML. Okay, so I guess I have slightly less time, so I probably might want to go a little bit faster. So anyway, my name is Young. Just a very quick introduction about myself. I'm the founder and CEO of Stream Media. So we have been developing Android apps since 1.0 days, or if you want to say even earlier, 0.9, right? That is before October 2008. Yeah. So anyway, the thing is that we have been developing Android applications for a long time. We have worked with many different companies such as Creative Mobile. You all may have played their game called Drag Racing. Anybody of you heard of Drag Racing? It's one of the earliest racing games. They have more than 10 million users on Android itself. And of course, Game Fortress is a German web social game company. So how did we got started in app discovery is that we started 9 months ago. We launched our first version of Explorer on Google Play. Right, the whole idea is to help users to find Android games on Google Play itself. Right, the whole reason why we do that is that this is infographics that we actually created ourselves. Right, we make comparison in terms of how a user find games on Google Play versus other platforms. So of course we take the other leading platform, Apple, as a benchmark. What's the difference between app discovery on Apple versus Android? And what we found is that it is tremendously hard to discover games or apps on Google Play. It's not a matter of the apps are not being there. The apps are there, but the biggest problem is they are not as discoverable. They're not easy to find. Unless you're a user that goes to Google Play every day, right? So one very simple comparison that we made is that we just look at the top charts on Google Play and the top charts on iOS Store, and we look at what's the variance, right? How often these charts update, So from a user perspective, right? If I'm monitoring the charts from week 1 to week 10, right? On average, I'm only going to find 3.6 new games per week, right? The charts may move up and down. Maybe Angry Birds from 1 move to 2, or from 5 move to 6, but it's still the same app, right? On the top 30 charts, right? So we looked at that. What we found is that it is a lot easier to find new content on iOS Store, and as a result, also when we look at the growth rate of users on Google Play versus versus iOS, is that Google iOS apps, typically you are able to get users 3 times faster than an Android app, for example. Yeah, so things don't look very good for us when we first launched. I mean, how many of you actually have apps that's on Google Play right now? None. None of you have launched any apps on any app store? Nobody? No one have any experience on the app store? What do you think the download rates are like when you launch your app on the app store? And any guess? Any guess?
Download rate.
Download rate, yeah. On a typical day, how many downloads you might possibly get?
1,000.
Huh? 0?
100 downloads a day.
How many?
100 downloads.
100 downloads a day. I can tell you the download numbers can be very bad if you don't market your app. I'm going to show you another statistics later. This is the statistics. Yes, this is the statistics that you can find from AppBrain. Right, this is not statistics from me. Okay, less than 5% of all Google Play apps, right, have more than 50,000 downloads after 6 months. So you can count how many days are there in 6 months. Huh? 180, right? 180, so 50,000 downloads divided by 180 is how many?
50.
Huh? 50 what? 50. Right? So if okay, not 50 or less than 50, right? How many? Anybody got a calculator? Very easy one. 50,000 divided by 180 277 downloads a day. Right? So imagine, what does it mean is that 95% of the apps has less than 277 dollars a day. Only 5% of the apps, right, okay, have 277 dollars and above that on average. You understand what I mean? So what it means that when you launch an app on Google Play, right, 700,000 apps, you're going to be one of the 700,000 apps on Google Play. How are you going to get users? If you do not get users, right, how do you know whether your app is good? How do you know that your app can make money? Right? So naturally, app discovery is a very big problem for developers on any app stores, especially on Google Play. Right? So the question is, how can at least me become part of the 5%? Correct? Because if you cannot even become part of the 5%, I don't know what you're doing for posting up the app on Google Play. If you're doing it for educational purposes, just for learning, okay, great, it's fine. But if you're trying to build a business, you minimally has to be in that 5%, right? Correct? So we tried many different methods to get downloads, right? So we tried all sorts of different ways. Of course, the first thing is ask your friends, hey, do you have an Android phone? Do you have an Android phone? Anyone have an Android phone? Can you go to Google Play and go and download our app? Of course, that is the first thing we start. But you're quick to realize that it's actually very hard to get your friends and family to download your app, right? It's not because they don't want to download your app, but for a variety of reasons, like for example, they don't have data plan. Of course, they may not have an Android phone, or they don't play games altogether. Why I want to download the games app when they don't play games, right? Correct? Then of course, then we think about, how can we do better, right? So we try to switch categories, see, is there any impact if I put my app on social, or if I put my app under news, or I put my app under games, for example, right? We try switching categories, see will that help anything. Right. We also tried advertisements on different networks, AdMob, Millennium Media, Tapjoy, Facebook ads. We tried all sorts of different ways to advertise our app, right? We also did cookie cutter ad. Earlier last year, what was it? Olympics, right? Olympics, yeah. So we also did an Olympics ad. Then the Olympic ad, we tried to direct user to Explorer. We did that also. So we tried all sorts of different ways. We tried many different ways. And of course, we even do App Store optimization. So you all may not have heard of this term before. What App Store optimization means is similar to SEO. You all know what's SEO, right? Search engine optimization, right? Okay, it's the same thing. On App Store, you need to optimize your search result, right? So when you search for recommended games, what you will find, right? Will you see Explorer, for example, right? So there's a lot of technicalities that you need to do in your App Store listing, all that, to make sure you are up there on the ranking, right? So we try all different kind of methods. So we concluded kind of 3 points, right? How do you get the number of users, right? How to get more than 1 million users? I mean, that's our target, right? Our target this year is to get 1.6 M. Right now we are closing in on 100,000 maybe finally, but it's still about 1.5 M to go. So we are still trying to improve our process to make that faster. The key thing is that you need to have a few things going to build up the momentum for you to reach that rate of growth. So I'm going to go in terms of reverse order, right? What you need to do, right? In terms of getting discovered on Google Play, right? So the first thing is search, right? I mentioned that on App Store there's this thing called App Store optimization, right? Search is actually extremely important on the App Store. Why? It's because that's how people is going to find out about your app if they don't know about you, right? If they know about you, of course they will just search for you, right? But how many billions of people in this world know about your app? Probably only hundreds, 200s. How can you reach to the millions, right? So search is a very important thing that you need to work on in terms of getting discovered on the App Store, right? And according to statistics, right, this are also provided. I think this is provided by this Timo. 80% of Android apps installs are from search, right? So on a daily basis, if if there's a million installs, that means 800,000 of them are from searches, right? So how am I going to be discovered by users, right, when they search for maybe something like, you know, I want games, you know, best free games, recommended apps, you know, or if you are a camera app, then if I search camera, how would my app appear, right, inside the listing? Right, so search is actually very, very important, and 80% of the installs are from searches. I'm just going to quickly run through a few of these things that you can do. Right, these are simple things that you can start off with in terms of optimizing your search result on Google Play. So the first thing is keywords, right? The difference between Google Play and iOS Store, for example, is that you do not need to get your app description approved. Right, meaning say as and when you're happy, you want to change it from like 5,000 words to 10 words, you know, you can do that. And the most interesting thing about Google Play is that the moment you change your text, your description, it immediately have an effect. So you can immediately search for the keyword that you're trying to target and see what's the outcome for the changes in your app description, right? And keywords are extremely vital, right? The problem about Google Play that they do not have is they do not, of course, tell you what is the what do you call it, the volume of the keywords that you're trying to target for. Right, so they don't tell you that on a daily basis, 1 million people is searching for this keyword, 10 million people is searching for another keyword. So for this, you really need to kind of do a little bit of trial and error based on what your app is. Okay, but one thing is that do not spam your keywords, because Google Play actually downrank your ranking if you try to spam your keywords. So if your app is camera, you cannot spam camera, and thinking that Google Play will make your app top when they search for camera. Okay, so be careful not to spam keywords. Any of you also is already familiar with SEO? One gentleman over there, 2 gentlemen. The rest no idea what SEO. You all need to go and find out. I cannot teach you SEO in 1 hour, right? There are a whole ton of things. There are some similarities of web SEO to App Store, but they're not entirely the same, but then we can actually learn from there. One of the things is keywords. Of course, there's another term called keyword density, right? You all know what's keyword density? What keyword density means is that you cannot spam too many keywords, right? To give you one example, during Halloween, we actually try to introduce a new keyword, which is Halloween, right? Naturally, right? Halloween, people will search for that Halloween, right? What we found out is that when we added a certain few keywords in, right, our ranking actually dropped. Okay, so do take note that, you know, try not to do too many keywords also, because keyword density is also very, very important as part of this SEO. Okay, app name, image name, package name. You all know what is package name? Do you all know what's package name? Package name? Okay, you'll be surprised that all these things all play a part in the search. Okay, all these things all play a part in the search. Okay, for package name especially, they, you know, even if your description don't have that text, right, but your package name has it, right, it will still show up in the search result as well. And package name also impact your search result. So having said that, when you package your app before you put on the App Store, also take that into consideration. Okay, and of course, app name, image name, those things not only helps in searches, those things helps in conversions, right? What conversion means that is when a user see your app listing on Google Play, right? What is the percentage of them going to finally click install, right? So putting videos and screenshots is very important. Feature image is very important for your Google App Store listings. Okay. Ratings and comments. Google Play also looks into ratings and comments in terms of, you know, how many positive reviews that you get. You know, not just in absolute numbers, but also in terms of percentage, right? But do take note, right? Not all your users are going to give comments, right? Typically, you're looking at 1 to 2% of your users are going to give comments, right? For us, it's slightly less than that. The thing about how do you get users to leave rating and comment is that in your app, you know, try to ask your users whether or not they like your app, and if they like your app, leave a comment to your for your app on Google Play, right? That will help a lot. But do take note, do not give money or incentivize one way or another to your users to rate your app. Okay, this is not what do you call it? This is kind of like a no-no in terms of the developer guidelines on Android, right? I will go more in details later on why why you should be following these guidelines. Okay. And there's a lot of other things that may not be obvious to you, like monthly active users, install versus uninstall, user activity, and of course bug report. All this, Google on the background, they will track your app, and then from that determine what is your app quality, and then put your app in front of other apps, for example. Okay, so that's for search, right? So I mentioned that, if people do not know about your app, right, how they download an app is they search, right? Functional searches like voice chat or like take picture or photo editing, correct? But of course, the thing is that that doesn't mean that SEO alone will be sufficient. You need to build a brand, right? What is it about brand building, right? Is that when you think about, oh, I want to send a message to my friend, right? You think WhatsApp, correct? You will think maybe Line or maybe even WeChat. You will not go to the App Store and search message friend or SMS friend, right? Because the user already knew that, if I want to do something, I will search for that particular brand, right? So brand building is very important. And of course, as a developer myself also, it's one of the difficult things because I need to shift from, building products, coding to actually marketing, right? So, it's one of the biggest challenge, how do you actually build a brand? I have no knowledge about it. How do I start? But one thing about brand building is that, or marketing is that it's a lot of rejection, it's a lot of hard work. When we first got started, we were thinking, is it just reading that 10 best practices that people talk on the web, on the internet, and that will work? They say we must go to Twitter and then post comments to those editors and writers, right? What they write about, build relationships, It's very easy to say build relationships. It's always very easy to say that you need to build a message to your user, but to be honest, it's a lot of rejection. You would spend a lot of time talking to people, talking to these editors, talking to these journalists. I was doing that last month, right? I was doing an overnight, like all-night conference call to US, right? I was talking to Venture Lee, all those guys. And what happened? I was so tired, I went to the toilet, I locked myself outside my office. So what happened was, luckily I called my wife. What's the PIN code to my door? I enter the PIN code there, continue my meeting. Otherwise I was like, oh no, 2 more hours before 6 a.m. I have another call. It's a lot of hard work. It's not something that you have. It's not something that you can do overnight, and it's not cheap either. Okay. Statistically, also there's a statistics that typically, right, for you to reach that 50,000 mark, right, developers need to spend at least about $3,000 in terms of advertising, right? Advertising is important. Okay, when I say brand building, when I say search, it doesn't mean that advertising is not important. Advertising is actually very important. But before that, you need to give a clear message. Why should the user use your application? It is the same idea that when the first time your new user opens up your application on your phone, right, you must tell them, what is this app about? What I can do here? Why should I be using this app? It is the same thing, but the question is, how can you make this into a very clear and concise message that can be delivered through your marketing? Okay, and what is the advantage of using your app versus other people's, right? Because, like for example, if I want to do a photo editing app, right, why would they want to use my app? instead of using Instagram. Using Instagram, I can also send to my Facebook and all different places, right? Correct? So why should I be using your application, right? These are questions that you need to ask yourself, right? A lot of us fail at this area, not knowing that we haven't done well enough in this area, right? Because this thing can be very subjective, right? But I would say this is a very, very important piece, because if you don't do this, you know, no matter how much money you throw at marketing, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't work. Yeah, and talking about, I mentioned about building relationship just now, right? Right, building relationship with bloggers, with writers, journalists, right? It is going to take a lot of time and effort, and the thing is that, you know, you think of a writer in TechCrunch, for example, he probably will receive hundreds of pitches, right? Emails from different people saying that, oh, check out my latest release or product launch. You know, why would that person write about you on TechCrunch or on, you know, Gamma Sutra, for example, right? So the thing is that it takes a lot of hard work to spend time to build relationship with these people, right? However, if something is worthwhile, because these relationships, right, it may not be useful for you today, right? For this application, but it can help you in future if you launch another different applications. And this is not something that you should be doing after you launch. This is something that you should be doing ongoing, right, as you are developing your application. Because this thing takes time, and it takes a lot of time and effort. So, you know, if you're already developing an app today, you know, go and spend the time. It's worthwhile. Talk to these writers, talk to journalists, because these guys may also give you ideas how users might be using your app or perceive your app to be, right? And the other thing is that, you know, don't assume that, you know, you have a fantastic app, they will just write about it. Also think about the angles and the reason why they should write about it, right? If I'm targeting, let's say for example, a gaming website, why should this gaming website write about my app, right? Likewise, if I'm targeting a technology site for the same app, you know, why should a technology site write about my app? Because they have readers, right, who wants to read specific type of news, right? What will be useful for these readers? And in terms of advertising, right, I think since most of you never launched any apps on Google Play or on any app store, you probably do not know, have you all spent any time on advertising? Right? Or anybody have any idea of advertising or spend a single cent on advertising? None. Okay, so there are a few ways, right, that you can do, right? Advertising, we have tried engaging PR agencies before. We have also used different ad networks before, right? The biggest thing about advertising is that you need to measure, right? Analytics measurements is the most important thing if you're going to do any advertising, right? Because you need to know whether or not at the end of the day, when you spend $1 in acquiring this user, are you going to get $1 back? You know, you couldn't be spending $1 and then only getting 10 cents back, right? So you need to, that's why you need to measure your advertising to understand what is your user lifetime value, right? What is the LTV of your user, right? So for each network, let's say Facebook, let's say Tapjoy, let's say AdMob, right? For each of these channels, for the users that they bring in, what is the lifetime value of these users, right? It doesn't mean all the channels are the same, right? Tapjoy, the LTV maybe 50 cents. For AdMob, maybe $1. For Facebook, maybe $2, right? Then from there, then you can plan out, right? What's the cost? What's the CPM, CPI, CPC that you can spend on each of these advertising networks? Okay. Then of course you should measure also retention, the user activity, the volume that you can get from each of these networks. Okay. These are some of the tools that you can use, right? For example, for App Store Analytics, you can use App Annie. So App Annie provides a lot of information in terms of app rankings, right? For App Analytics, there's Flurry, there's GA. There's a lot of different types, but for myself, I use GA because for Android, GA can track where is the download source. Meaning to say, is the user coming in from searches, is the using coming from categories and things like that, right? So there are data that GA can provide that Flurry doesn't provide, right? So for my Android app, I actually use GA. Yeah, and don't forget your users, because your existing users, no matter how small they are, like even 1,000 or 2,000, you know, these guys can be your very valuable asset, because they not only can provide feedback to you in terms of how they're using your app, right? What they are looking for in your app, right? What's not so good about your app. You know, they can also be your advocates to go and tell their friends, right? That their friends should be using this app as well, right? So create channels, forums, ways whereby you can engage your users, right? So from time to time, you know, for us, what we do is that for users that use our app, right? If there's an initiation of communication with us, like for example, adding one of guys as friends or messaging us, we will always respond to them, answer them, gather their feedback, and then, you know, try to convert them into loyal users, right? No matter how little they are, you know, you have to get started on this. Don't forget your users; they're your best marketing medium. You know, and if your users can think, you know, that if I want to find a game, they will go to Explorer, or if they want to take a picture, they'll use your camera app, you know, that's when you have succeeded. Okay, so this is actually very, very important, right? Because if you have to start from convincing and converting your first users, and then subsequently repeating that for all your different users so that they can become your advocate. So far, any questions on getting discovered on Google Play from searches and advertising? Yes.
I recently saw an article that said that 95% of the Android users actually get free ads. So you're one of the 5%. So I'd like to ask, what do you think, for example, any typical app for your app? How much do you charge the user? Because most of the app I see is
No, my app is free too.
free too.
Yeah, we don't charge our users, yes.
How do you earn?
I think for that there's a whole variety of business model, right? It also depends on where is your target market, right? I'm trying to give you the most concrete, the most insightful answer without being too general. May I know what do you do? Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, what do you do? Yeah, what do you have an app that you are building or you have launched? What's your context, you know, behind this question? What's the context behind this question?
Well, I actually got an app, but it's not ready to be launched. I never launched any app before.
Okay.
But the time is not right to launch right now. But when the time is right, when I launch it, I don't know what to price it.
Okay.
Since you say it's free, and then I can't charge anything.
I can say that for your pay per download, right? Means, yeah, that means
Because most apps are free, so it's fair.
correct. Pay per download apps, right? The install rates are very low, right? On Google Play,
Less than 5%.
I don't even say less than that. I give you a quantifiable number, right? If you can even get 100,000 installs, right, for pay per download app, right, you're very, very lucky already, right? Those paid apps, right, that you see that are in the millions, right, there's only one reason. Because they launched that 10-cent promotion last year with Google. There was a 10-cent promotion before. If any of you have been using Android long enough, was it last Christmas? Not 2012 Christmas, but 2011 Christmas. There was this number of days whereby Android apps went for 10 cents, right? For those few apps. Only those few apps, right, had millions of users. The rest, very pathetic. You know, it's like ranging between 50 to 100,000 installs, right? That's why I can say if you can reach 100,000 purchases on Google Play, people download, they are very lucky. Typically, what business model works well on Google Play? The first one, the simplest to find out one is of course advertising. Correct? Advertising is the by far the most simple, straightforward, and you know that developers have been using for making money. One example, for example, Angry Birds. If you look at Angry Birds, right, you know that Angry Birds on iOS is paid. Angry Birds on Kindle, Amazon is paid. But Angry Birds on Android, or rather Google Play, is free with ads, right? This is one example, right? There are different type of advertising model as well. There's banner ads, there's interstitials. The other type would be those offer wars. Do you know what's offer war? Cost per install. You know what's cost per install? Tapjoy. Y'all don't play games? Any one of you here play games? No, none. Okay, have you seen those like get free credits, click, and a whole bunch of apps comes out? Y'all got seen those things before? Right? Never see before.
Don't play game.
Don't play game. Okay. Those are called offer wars, right? So there are a few providers around like Tapjoy, Arki, MedTabs, AppDriver, you know, everywhere, right? So that's another type of advertising whereby people pay you to drive install to their app. Yeah, so that is another type of advertising, right? So advertising is one model of revenue. The other form of revenue which is growing very fast, right? In fact, I think already surpassed advertising already, is in-app purchases. In-app purchases.
How do you spell that?
In-app purchase, right? In-app purchase or in-app subscriptions, right? How many of you using WhatsApp? Do you all know that WhatsApp has an expiry date on Android? Yeah, you all know that, right? You all know what is that for, right? It means that after that day you only pay.
They keep pushing back the expiry.
Yeah, they keep pushing back, but they push back for a reason, you get what I mean? They are trying to get more users, and then when they have enough users, they start charging you already. Yeah, they can't remain free forever, right? You know, their service is not free, right? Certainly their salaries are not free, somebody has to pay for it, right?
And there's no advertising.
And there's no advertising inside. So one way or another, somebody has to pay the bill, correct? I give you the most simple example. Y'all know Skype. How many of you have been using Skype recently? Do y'all realize Skype starting to push you to sign up for Skype Premium? Right? You used to be able to do video call with groups with no need to pay money. You used to be able to share screen, don't need to pay money. Suddenly, they ask you to sign up for Skype Premium. Right?
Yep.
You know, ultimately, these companies, they have to make money, man. Okay, so it is different strategy, right? Whether or not I'm trying to get as many users as possible and then I charge later, you know, or I just be upfront and just charge for ads, right? Of course, it doesn't mean that all companies are that. Then the other type is in-app payments. In-app payments. So you know those games like what games y'all play? I know whoever who play games here. Y'all play any games? Social games? What games do you play? Blood Brothers? Anybody play Blood Brothers? Or heard of Blood Brothers? Blood Brothers. Y'all know, right? Blood Brothers. Y'all can buy the whatever thing to recharge your character. You know, people actually pay money for those as well. Yeah. Because we also run a payment service company. The most interesting recently, alright, let's just say last week, right? Last week I have a Spanish guy calling me up. Hey, I just paid $75 to buy this whatever credit tip, I never received it. You know, people actually are so serious. You know, they pay $75 USD for something that's virtual, right? I need to get it immediately because I need to fight that other guy. You know, I need to recharge my account so I can fight the other guy. You know, yeah, that's another business model, right? Apps, games that uses this kind of model to get people to pay. There are a lot of these kind of people around, by the way. Yeah. So yeah, this is the different types of business model on Google Play. In a nutshell, yes, there's a lot more that I can talk about. Yeah. Any other questions so far? Advertising, searching on Google Play, things like that.
You mentioned about the measuring of the advertising, measuring of the results. How do you actually get this kind of measurement results?
Okay, so this one determines on how you set up your analytics on your app, right? So like I said, there are different providers like Flurry, like GA. Lichi, do you have any tools that you can recommend?
For setting up what?
For measuring campaigns.
Campaigns.
Yeah.
Campaign success.
Yeah, campaign success.
Basically, driving downloads and you want to measure conversion rate.
Yeah, measure conversion rate, measure LTV.
Maybe I can talk about that. You have to pretty much Still the next door.
Okay, yeah, I'll let Ichi talk about that later because he can tell you more about how to measure all these things. But essentially, there are different tools like GA, Flurry, and all that. Make sure that you have set up your project, your application such that you can measure all these different clicks, segment out these different users. And when you run your campaign, right, make sure you have those UTM source, what's that called, metadata and all these things, right? So this can be captured in your GA or Flurry to tell you that these are the users that came from this channel. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
This GA and Flurry is an application installed on your desktop or is a web-based.
GA is Google Analytics. You can go to analytics.google.com. You can find it.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, correct. But there's an SDK that you need to integrate into the app. Then for each, like for example, actions or whatever, you need to call API so that you can communicate with your server. Okay? Okay, so I'm just going to move to the last and most important point, which is building a good product. Okay? This thing is very important. I had long discussion with the guys from Google Play and the Android advocates when I was in KL October. Yeah, so we had a long discussion about what is meant by building a good product and why we need to build a good product, right? Most importantly is a good product is very important because imagine this: if you build an app and let's say you have converted, let's say myself as a user, correct? Why should I continue to use this app? Why should I share this app to my friends, right? The most important reason is that this product must be good, right? Because if this product is not good, what it means is that you will forever be in a cycle of trying to pay money or pay advertising to get someone to install an app, and if the app is not good, they're going to uninstall after 3 days. It's not going to do you any good, right? So the most important thing is to build a good product. Of course, it's also very, how should I put it? It's also very unrealistic to say that you can build a good product from day one, right? It's very difficult. For example, for us, we have been through, now we call it version 12, right? But in version 12, we have at least went through 4 major iterations in terms of UI, app product design, and things like that, right? So it takes a lot of time and effort to understand what your users want, to understand what your users do on your app, right? So that goes back down to the point again to measuring, because you need analytics to find out what features your users are using, what features your users spend the most time in, right? Because you know that in software, 77% of all features are not being used, right? That's what happens for us as programmers when we develop products. 77% of all features are not being used. Right? Why are we spending time on building the 77%? Correct? So it takes, a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort and energy to ensure that we build a good product. And a good product, of course, has very, very good, result, right? Because it can help you build momentum, right? Because it helps you to get good ratings, right? And you help you to get loyal users will tell their friends, go and put this download like Laura. Right? You get people virally go and spread this, right? And you get media who will be interested in your application and write about your app, right? And more importantly, get featured on Google Play, right? It's still important to get featured on Google Play, right? But how to get featured on Google Play, of course, today is not easy thing. I can talk about this a bit more also. But just first, I mentioned building a good product is an iterative process. You need to gather data, you need to get reviews, you need to get usage numbers, what are your users spending time on in your application. So for that, you can use Google Analytics and Flurry, right? You can track all the different button clicks. There's the engagement flow where you can find, let's say from the first screen, what's the drop-off rate, the second screen, what's the drop-off rate, vice versa, right? There's a whole slew of data analytics that you can gather from Flurry and all these different platforms to help you improve your apps, right? And follow the best development practices. So in terms of following best development practices, right, there are 2 sources that you really need to find out when it comes to Android. The first thing is in the Friday game review or app clinic. Any one of you know about this thing? How many of you don't know about this thing? Seems like most people don't know, right? The thing is that Google also knows that they are doing this at very odd hours in Asia, right? Because usually this happens about 3 to 4 o'clock on Fridays in Singapore, right? What it means is most of us are at work, right? Or in school, right? I'm not sure if any of you work in big companies, you all know that you might not be able to access YouTube from your office computers, right? So a lot of developers are not able to access Friday app cleaning and all this. Google is aware of this. They are also trying to see how they can better make this more available to developers. But you know, even if you cannot catch it live, you can always watch the recording. The recording you can go to the Android developers channel on YouTube, right? They will discuss in terms of the do's and don'ts of development, right? Like for example, the 10 most sinister app permission that you should never put inside your app, right? Or let's say for example, how to follow the Holo UX design guidelines. Do you all know what's Holo UX? Anyone of you know what's Holo UX? Right? One gentleman over there know what's Holo UX. I presume the rest don't, right? Justin, do you know what's Holo UX? Android Holo UX. Okay. Yeah. So it's important if you're going to develop Android, you need to know the design guidelines, right? So one of the most important design guidelines in Android is the Holo UX. Maybe I just pull it up. Yeah, so this is of course the Android website, right? The developer side, right? So you could find out all the design guidelines and design principles inside for Google Play, right? So we go to UI overview, right? So what's described over here, right, is the Holo UX. So you should follow the design guidelines that's provided over here in terms of how you're gonna use. Should be the other one. How do you use things like, for example, the action bar, right? How do you use things like the menu? How do you use things like the icon? How do you design? How should you be designing your icons, right? Your interactions within the app, right? So it's extremely important that you should be familiar with this thing, right? Because this is the first step for you to design an application that possibly can be featured by Google Play. Because if you don't follow Holo UX, they are never going to consider your app as as possible featuring. They have an editorial team within Google that does that, right? Actually, what I will gonna show in the next slide is essentially that this is the Bible in terms of designing a quality application on Google Play, right? This is also on developer.android.com, right? This is under the distribute section, right? Here it talks about how do you design quality apps. This is the, they call this the lowest common denominator. Meaning to say if you cannot meet this criteria, right, the editorial team will not review it. So you must minimally meet this minimal criteria, right? So just talk about the core app qualities, right? So in the core app qualities, they talk about all the different things like standard design, right? Which was what I mentioned just now in terms of UX, action bar, and all that, right? Navigation, notifications, you can see all the related resources over here, as well as functionalities, right? This is the minimal requirement, right? Beyond that, Google also recommends that beyond after meeting this minimum requirement, right? Google today do not have a local editorial team that recommends content that is relevant to the local market, to the Google editorial team. They are looking into improving that. So the thing is that if you want to get your app features today, my advice is first start looking at this thing first, right? After that, there are still some things that Google is trying to solve also, right? But at least first try to meet this criteria. And I think this point also points back down to the point just now that we mentioned with Justin, right? The last question with Justin, which is for HTML5 apps, right? It doesn't mean that you build an app that you can launch across all the platforms, the same UI and everything, right? These are some of the differences, right? And they specify very clearly. There are differences between iOS platform and Android platform. For example, Android, you have a back button, right? The most obvious thing, right? Android, you have a back button, whether is it a soft key over here or hard button key, right? Whereas iOS don't have, right? So iOS app, you need to build a back button over here, correct? Huh? BlackBerry, you say lah.
Show some love.
So I don't know. I'm not a BlackBerry guy. I'm an Android guy. You say lah.
We don't have any soft keys or anything.
Gesture is it?
Everything on gesture, and then basically, you as a developer decide the back button.
Okay. And another very interesting observation is that you realize, right, on iOS. On iOS, this one is Facebook lah. Facebook obviously not 100% follow Android guidelines. So on iOS, you're very familiar with these three lines, right? Correct? When you toggle, it is actually the menu button, right? But on Android, right, you don't use that three line. For Android, you use the app icon, and this is defined under action bar. So if you go to action bar, right, as you can see, like for example, use the YouTube icon. This is what you call action bar. You have to use the app icon. Okay. The only thing is my biggest complaint about using this action bar, right, is that after moving to this UI, right, my users don't know how to navigate to the menu. Yeah, so that is one drawback. So we have to find ways to help our users to learn that clicking on this thing is actually going to the menu, right? And you might be familiar. You all know what is this, right?
Options.
This is the menu, the menu button, right? In 4.0 onwards, there's no more menu button already, you realize, right? And the thing is that HoloUX also specify that you should compile with the. If you go and watch the Friday app training okay, you'll see that they always point out one thing about application, right? They had the three dots over here. Have you all seen the three dots over here at the soft key buttons? Right? Yeah, that is like the dreaded settings button that they don't want to see. Yeah, so what happens is that you actually shift it all the way up over here. Yeah, so you shift it up over here. And yeah, action bar is at the top. Yeah, correct. So just to show you our action bar implementation.
Not very finger friendly.
But I know what you mean. There are a lot of lessons that we are learning also.
Each phone's a $100.
Yeah. So for example, this is our action bar implementation, right? So as you can see, we also keep to as minimal buttons as possible at the top, right? And this is of course the button that we toggle to open the menu, right? And we put our notification over here as well. Yeah, we also put our notifications here as well, right? And for the site, that's where we also do different things like searches, because for us we have different types of searches. So we also put up kind of similar to the menu selection, so I can search for games, friends, or circles, right? So this is the action bar implementation.
But you don't do the three dots anymore.
There's another thing about the three dots, is that we found out is that we don't like the three dots, as in users don't like the three dots, right? Google specifies this thing, but users don't like the three dots. Why I say users do not like the three dots? For two reasons. First reason, users are typically confused what is the three dots for, right? According to the guidelines, right, these three dots should be contextual menu, which is similar to the Android previous design as well. But the biggest problem is users don't get it. Whenever they click the three dots, they see different menu, they are lost, they don't know what to do.
So what were they? Where would you put the 3 dots there?
No, now we don't do it at all. As in for us, we don't do it at all. Because the thing is, our feedback is that
So
users are confused until the point that they don't use it.
So it's just a recommendation from you how an alternative for the content.
The alternative is it? So for us, we actually build it.
Action bar or
No, we didn't do it. So what we did was that previously I show you our previous UI, right? The 3 dot was reserved for things like related videos and related games. So I mean, in our implementation, different people's implementation is different, right? So for implementation, last time our implementation for the 3 dots is for related games and video. What we did was we actually changed our UI such that it's directly available to users in the main area. Yeah, because because for us those are kind of critical area whereby users use a lot. Like for example, a lot of our users will look at related videos. So what we decided is we made it more visible to user. But if you have certain things that you want to hide from the user that you may not want them to keep looking at it, maybe you want to put it inside the 3 dots. Yeah, but for us, we kind of like, don't like the 3 dots because those functions are quite important for us. Yeah. Then, where is it? Yeah, so this is like I said, it's kind of like a Bible. Okay, you need to be familiar with this if you are designing Android UI and Android application. This is very, very important. Yes?
Just want to check. I guess on most platforms for games, usually they don't require you to follow all these UI stuff.
Correct. Games is different now, of course. Yeah. Games, the development, the different framework also different also. Yeah. Anyway, most of the things I talk about, like action bar and all those things, there's a lot of UI tools available on Google Play that are open source. Like for example, action bar, I think it's a Sherlock, right? You all know about Sherlock? You know much Sherlock? Yeah, there are a lot of different tools available that you all can go and use. Yeah, so for us today, right now, we have about 90 plus K users. We are hitting 100K very soon, right? So this, why I want to say this is that, it takes a lot of time, right? Even what we know today is, I would say still very basic, right? But the question is, how are we going to reach a stage whereby we can be as successful as the Rovios of the world, right? Singapore needs to have a success too, right? So it's something that, what I want to emphasize is something that we need to learn, continue to learn every day because it changes every day, right? What was Android 4 years ago is very different from today. It keeps changing, so it requires a lot of continuous learning, right? And it's a lot of hard work. It's not something that, you listen to a person talk for 1 hour, 2 hours, you can get it. It's not like that. If you want to do a mobile application, you want to build a business, make sure that, or not sure, make sure that, be aware that there's a lot of hard work that you need to put in, right, in order to market your application. The same way it is for iOS actually. Yeah, there's no difference. It doesn't mean that you build and you can forget. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so anyway, any questions? Any questions? Any one of you have any plans to upload an app onto Google Play within the next 3 months? Yourself? So, right. Anybody else? What about you?
I think depend on maybe 2-3 years later because
2-3 years later.
market is not mentioned to accept this application. Launch too fast, I think nobody will want it.
Okay.
Maybe 2-3 years later when market is not mature.
Okay. Sure. The rest of you, are you all going to develop applications for PlugFest, right? Are you all going to put it on Google Play or any other stores?
Or BlackBerry.
Or BlackBerry?
Maybe on Google Play, but not BlackBerry.
Oh, maybe. Oh.
I'm so sorry.
I see. Yeah. But it's more for learning purposes, not trying to build something around it. I see. Okay. Any questions? Any other questions?
So currently, how are you monetizing your app then?
For us right now, our monetization is in advertising, right? So in our game feeds, we actually will specify and tell users that this is an ad, right? We will do that. But down the road, our monetization is not in the advertising, is in data, because we are trying to move into publishing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's one other form of advertising that's quite popular now, which is like the ad of the day kind of.
Free of the day.
Yeah. So how do you see this method of advertising?
Actually, it's not new leh. Yeah, it has been around for a long time. In fact, on iOS, last time, long time ago, I think to get one listing on those free of the day, I think you pay them 20,000 for one listing. It's not cheap. Don't think advertising is cheap. It's not cheap. But now I think it dropped to about 4-5K. But the reason why it dropped to 4-5K is not because it is cheaper, but it is because that they are less effective these days really.
More competitive.
Yeah, it's a lot more competitive. There's a lot more ways to discover apps on the App Store, and therefore the price has gone down. Right. In fact, the problem today on App Store is cost per install is increasing, inventory is decreasing. Right? 我没讲错。Right? Not enough inventory. Right? What is meant by not enough inventory is not enough this kind of engagement to user to get you to download the app. So what happens is that people are paying what, $3, $4, $5 to install for you to install a game. Right? That's why guys like Tapjoy, they all are making a lot of money. Right? Because when you install a game, they earn like $1, $2. Yeah.
I guess because as a new app developer, the first time we encountered this is we thought that we are giving them our app for free for the day. They should be paying us, but it's the other way around.
Correct.
You actually have to pay them to have your app on their feature for free for
Correct.
the day.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Yeah. So just to give you an indication, some companies, right, or I'll say most of the more decent game companies, their daily advertising budget, right, is 5 figures USD. Yeah, the daily advertising budget for one app, one game is 5 figures. Yeah, that's why they can shoot up the rank so fast, get so many downloads. Yeah, because they pay all the different channels to market their app. Yeah, so if you want to build a business around mobile apps, you have to think very carefully what is your go-to-market, what's your strategy, how do you acquire users, what's the cost per acquisition. That's why I mentioned you need to measure what's the LTV, lifetime value of the user, and then determine how much money you can spend on advertising. Yeah.
Just one more question. For this Tapjoy,
Yes.
do they have like very strict restrictions in terms of how you can use their offer wall monetization method? Because I know previously on the web, like Super Rewards, Offer Pal, this kind, they actually don't allow you to sort of incentivize certain stuff.
Do you know that Offer Pal is Tapjoy?
Yeah, they regret that a lot. So
Yeah.
so now it's like it seems like it becomes more straightforward. In fact, games actually ask you to specifically play to get the stuff. So if let's say I were to do an app, not like a game, this is more extreme case. So let's say, is it possible to do just an app where people just
Click on the ads.
just do the offers and then they get paid?
It is possible. Actually, I know what you're talking about. I'm not going to say more about that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. There are people doing it, but I can see that so far I haven't seen someone that's successful doing it. Yeah, there are a lot of them around already, but they're all not successful. Yeah.
So they in a way they are not very strict on how you implement.
They're happy as long as you drive traffic, you drive downloads, they are more than happy. Yeah. But the question is, how do you get your app to be on as many users as possible, and for them to keep coming every day to keep clicking on your ads? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe we'll take a 5-minute toilet break in case anyone needs to go, and while Richie is setting up.
Oh, maybe. advertising 这样的 advertising there's a lot of advertising 他最适合问 advertising 的人你有钱在他那边花advertise if you're an app, then you sign up for a Google Play account. Then after the Google Play, that one is just distribution. You don't confuse the two. Distribution is distribution. Publishing is publishing. Advertising
I see that you cannot make any money, so
yeah, also for you to make money, so basically you want to put ads in it. Put advertising in yes, you. Yes. Yeah, there are different type of advertising.
this one is for my leisure, this one is quite useful skills.
Yeah.
It depends.
Why can't you do a light version of the application without the function that require the government? Okay, I understand what you're saying. You know Waze? Have you heard of Waze? Waze is like a kind of like a community navigation app, right? They also don't kind of rely on like, so what happens is they use user contributed routes. Yeah. So you see, the thing is that there are different ways of doing it, right? But the thing is, don't waste time. What I mean by don't waste time is that don't waste the time that you have now having the app not being I know it.
Yeah, so what's it that? What's it do? My one is using GPS. Because the government is trying to track by I think you all can run also.
No. Yeah, we don't have time to look at other things.
But I like games like so
no, we have no time to look at other things. We have things that are very good.
So it tracks users by GPS.
Double check.
Sure. Okay.
So
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I want to talk about modules and different ways to monetize. So it seems like it's a hot topic everybody is interested in. So we'll talk about
long time ago. What's up?
up? Yeah, please.
Okay, so to follow up from the previous topic, app discovery, the next talk will be on how to actually monetize or how to measure your advertising campaigns and so on. So the speaker will be Richie. He's leading the global monetization solutions at for APAC and Millennia Media. Yes. So it's going to be very interesting. Right, over to you.
All right, thank you. So I think, thanks Louis for the introduction. I think everybody here seems like, we're all interested in, based on the questions that you guys asked, we're all interested in knowing how do I make money off my apps, right? I mean, you put up all of the efforts, spend your free time coming up with this app, and obviously either you want street cred or you want to get something out of it. And most of the time we actually, if we get some pocket change, why not? And if this turns into something serious, of course we're gonna, make a business out of it, which is great. So that's what I'm here today to do. I'm gonna talk about how to monetize your apps. So first, a little bit of introduction of myself. I'm the Director of Monetization Solutions for APAC and Millennial Media. So Millennial Media is we are a mobile advertising platform. So we were just having a lot of discussions about advertising, right? So that's what we do. We work with leading brand advertisers and basically any advertisers around the globe. We run campaigns, we do creatives for them, and then we have another job, which is my job, to reach out to developers and then put out ads inside those applications for advertisers to reach out to end users. So what I do every day is I talk to developers all day long, from indie guys like you, or premium guys, the likes of Rovio or Zynga in the world. I talk to those developers here in APAC. Basically, I talk to them about how do you make money. And it's obviously using our platform, but then because we work with so many different developers, we see a lot of different things, which I'll talk about in my later slide. We are able to advise them what are the pros and cons of different approaches, and then help them to formulate a good strategy to monetize. So the first thing that I talk to them about is that it's never too late to think about how you're going to monetize your apps. Basically, you want to have a plan. Having a plan meaning that you want to think about monetization as a product feature. Because if you think about that, if you don't want to, no matter how kind of different models that you're going to use for monetization, if you add it on as an afterthought, it's going to look awkward to end users. I mean, we've all seen those different applications. They're just, like maybe it's in-app purchase. We talked about in-app purchase right now. Or advertising. They just seem out of place, and then it's really annoying to users, and then they don't feel good using your product, and they feel that they're being monetized in a bad way, and then they abandon your app, and then you lose users, and in the end, you get nothing, nobody gets anything. So we know, like what I talked about was that you want to have a plan, but then let's take a step back. Let's think about opportunity. So the opportunity, why we're all sitting here, even though none of you are developing, well, maybe one or two of you are developing mobile applications, but a lot of you are not doing it. But then you're here, and then you're based on the interactions we just had. A lot of people are actually interested in knowing how to make a business out of mobile applications. So obviously, we all know, because look at all of you guys. I bet 90% of you have an Android phone or an iPhone or a BlackBerry. We're all using smartphones these days, so we know there's a big opportunity, and it's a big opportunity right now. Maybe like 4 years ago, when 4 or 5 years ago, when iOS was just released, making an application was a niche developer group. It's basically not. It's not a real business. It's a group of developers developing technology that nobody cares. Fast forward 4 or 5 years to 2013, mobile applications is a media. It's a serious business, and the media makes money. and then in the later slide, I'll show you how mobile applications, like time spent on mobile applications, are rivaling those the time spent on TV, on print, and even PC. And this is one good example of why mobile media is a big big business. I don't know whether you read Newsweek, but then at the end of 2012, they just announced that they're gonna stop printing Newsweek. Newsweek has been running for how many decades? I don't even know. I mean, it's a well-known publication, but they're not gonna stop. They're gonna stop printing that at all. I mean, they're gonna give up the business, move completely to digital, and then they have an application. So they're gonna replace their print magazine with online and then mobile apps. So this tells you how the whole industry is moving towards. I mean, it's going mobile. Next up, I want to show you this chart. It's by Mary Meeker of KPCB. It's a big investment BC in the Silicon Valley. So this chart shows you the first 16 quarters cumulative global Android and iPhone unit shipments. So basically, it shows you the adoption rate of smartphones. I mean, right now we call smartphones, what we're really thinking about is Android and iOS. And as you can see, it's basically shot the chart. This is month 0, and the 16 quarters later, that means 4 years. And basically, Android, and I would say probably mostly Android, is being the rocket fuel to propel this exponential growth. And a lot of those devices, when iOS first launched, it was big in the US, and then it went to Europe, and then here at APAC, people started to adapt that. Then Google came out with Android, and then I think the first real impact that Android had on the marketplace was when Verizon in the US launched the Droid campaign. In the US, actually, a lot of people don't call Android, they call it Droid. I mean, so do you have a Droid phone? So this, like the branding, actually advertising is really powerful. And then you see it's basically shot the chart, and that's basically because Android is open, and then in a lot of emerging markets, I would say China, India, Indonesia. These are because Android is open. A lot of manufacturers, they can package free or operating system, put it into a hardware package, and sell it to consumers for at a very cheap price. So that's why you see a tremendous growth rate. And if we take a deep dive into the countries, as you can see here, China. Right now, it has the biggest mobile subscription base, 270 million. In Singapore here, we have about like 5 point something million of population. So that's how many percent of that, how many folks of that. And then the smartphone penetration rate of China right now is about 24%, and its growth rate year over year is 50%. So you see that just China alone is a huge opportunity. And if we look down, looking at Southeast countries that are relevant to us, Indonesia, subscription base 27, penetration rate 9%, and then their growth rate is 36%. If you look at Philippines, 15 million users, subscription rate 14%, growth rate 38. Thailand, same story, like very low penetration rate, but like between 30 to 50 growth rate. Malaysia, same thing. Malaysia growth rate is slightly lower, but then still like that's about 68% of growth. Taiwan, Hong Kong, again, those are all huge opportunities. So that says that there's a tremendous opportunity. I mean, if we only looking at APAC, and then on the list you have 30 countries right here. There are a lot of other countries where your apps could make an impact. So I talked about the opportunity, and then let's look at user behavior. So if we look at this from 2009 all the way to 2012, TV and online, even though a lot of people are, the majority of people are spending a lot of time on those on these media, but then the growth is more or less single digit for this, slightly in the teens for online. But then if we look at mobile, from 22 hours per day in 2009, to 4 vote in 2012. So that means that we're spending a lot more time on our mobile phones than on TV and online. And honestly, I actually spend a lot of time on my computer, so I would say online. That's because I'm working. I mean, we're all in the office. We're using our computer, but then we're doing work. But then on mobile phone, I would say 80% of that is actually my personal time. So it shows just how important it is. And then if we think about like 24 hours, we probably work between 8 to 10 hours per day. And the rest of it, we usually 8 hours. There's another 8 hours that can be, it's basically our mobile device, our personal mobile device is consuming our sole attention. Back to the point I was talking about, news week. It's the media that's in decline. So obviously they made the right choice to come print and then go digital. So next up, we talked about developers. There are a lot of developers that are making a lot of money. I mean, they have great strategy on how to extract money from their users. What do they do? I mean, how do they do this? They have a good monetization strategy, but then what do they, exactly what does that mean? What it means is that you need to know your users to grow opportunities. Because mobile device is such a unique device, platform. We all know this. I mean, we've heard this 100 times. It follows us every, all the time, 24 hours. We don't use our we use our mobile phones not only when we're on the go, we also use it when we're at home, next to our PC or next to our computer, next to our TV. So we use it every day. So it collects a lot of data. There's a lot of data that is associated with our mobile phone, such as how often, and then these are data that you can collect and make great. That helps you make good business decisions when you want to monetize your apps. So what are those signals? How often do they use your app? What is the session length? Where do they access your application? What kind of device do they use? What brand? Or what OS? And then session length, as just mentioned. So these are all data that you want to collect to help you make better decisions when you want to monetize your users. I think in the previous session, Jill made a good point about using Google Analytics or GA. Those are things are actually important. If you want to do this as a habit and then you don't expect anything serious coming out of it, sure, you don't need to do that. But then if you want to be at least half serious about it, you need to collect data. I think that's the point Jill is trying to make, and that's what we've seen from top developers who are making big money from monetization. So here comes the $1 million questions. What are the monetization strategies that you can do? What are the main methods that you can use? So there are, in the industry right now, there are 3 main methods, 3 ways. One is paid downloads, in-app purchase, and then last, mobile advertising. So I'm going to go through each one of those and then do a slight deep dive. But I'll go through them briefly right now. So paid downloads is something that we all love as a developer. Who wouldn't want users to just outright pay us money upfront, right? And then we don't have to worry about anything. So it's great, everybody loves it. But then one thing is that you have to take note is that platforms take 30% of what your selling price. That's actually quite a bit. If you think about that, 99 cents, most people, the most acceptable price point is 99 cents. 30% off of that, it's, like you get, what, like 69, 68, right? But it's great, the upside of using paid downloads is that you develop a loyal user base. These guys pay for you, they go out of their way, click on that, take out their credit card, pay for your app. They are loyal users. But it's harder to scale. As we mentioned, there are a lot, basically most users just basically, if you look at your phone, I would bet 8 out of 10 applications are free. Personally, I'm the kind of person who would pay to buy applications, but that's because I will actually want to support the developers. I feel that it's good stuff. I want to support them to have so they can make a good business. But not a lot of people are like me. I mean, they would just say, I talk to a lot of, I'm more on the EP side, but then my normal friends, when I talk to them, what kind of apps do they use? They either don't use apps, or they would just try to pirate or download free games, free apps. They don't want to pay. I mean, to them, it's, I understand, like, from developer's perspective, like, why would you pay, $1.50 for a cup of coffee, but then you wouldn't pay 99 cents for the applications you're gonna use on a daily basis. I know it's hard, but then that's human nature. The other part is that it's less competitive because, again, it's less competitive because the chart, I mean, when I say chart, I mean Play Store chart. iOS App Store or Android Play Store, because still, if you look at the stores, most of the apps are free. So you get less competition, but then you get higher expectations. Think about this. I mean, actually, I do. I mean, I do this myself. I feel that I pay 99 cents. It's really nothing. I mean, I'll just throw 99. We can all do this. Throw 99 cents on the floor. We don't give a shit. But users, when they pay something for your app and it doesn't do what they want, they get pissed. And then, as Gio mentioned, bad reviews. And reviews are very important for you to maintain a loyal user base, even whether it's free, whether it's paid. You want users to write good reviews because that's what gets you featured. And when a new user comes in and look at the review, look at your app information, they see bad reviews up front. No, this is shit app. I'm gonna download the second app. There are there's so many apps out there. Like, why would I choose yours if you have bad reviews? So you want, even though a user pays 99 cents, you still have to satisfy every single one of their asks. You gotta have good customer service because they're gonna start writing apps, emails to you. 99 cents. I mean, that's why basically, yeah, like you have to do customer service for 99 cents. So that's pay downloads. It's great, but then it's very hard to scale. Second, in-app purchase. So this is a model that emerged about two to three years ago. Basically, it's mostly it's prevalent type is to have native in-game enhancements, such as avatars, weapons, power-ups, and whatnot. And the price can go from 99 cents again to $99. I think one of the I saw one example, Amazing Spider-Man. I don't play that, but then I saw their in-app purchase list, and then they have 99 cents items for 99 cents, but then also they have $49.99 a virtual item that's priced at $49.99. So and I'm pretty sure there are people who are buying that, maybe 10 in the whole world, but then there are people who are buying that. So it's still a good business, but then it's not scalable. And the other part of about in-app purchase is what I look at it is freemium versus instant gratification. I'll talk about that in a later slide. And last up, mobile advertising. So mobile advertising is basically you want to offer your app or games to users for free, but then you want to try to recoup your time and resources spent on developing this app and then also maintaining it. And then also, in the long run, you want to see if you can make a business. And mobile advertising is the kind that scales with your business. The more users you have, the more impressions you have, the more money that you'll make. So basically, it's monetizing 99% what I call 99% of your users. Most users don't want to pay, they just want to download your app. But then you can try to find a way without annoying them to make money. And then find it equilibrium between user experience and then generating revenue from them. So there are a lot of vendors out there. Obviously, there are a few big ones. I'll talk about that. They're one of them. But then basically what they are plug-and-play banners. And then they offer rich video ads, which is what we do. I'll talk about that later. Basically what you do is basically integrate an SDK. I don't think I have to explain what that is right now. You integrate it into your app and you're good to go. And then also some networks, more advanced networks will ask you to send extra parameters for you, ask you to send extra parameters to them so they can deliver targeted ads such as location-based or demographic targeted advertising. And it's a really big business. It's a $6 billion business in 2012, and it's continuing to grow. So let's look at, well, before I move on, actually, what you may be thinking, okay, so there are 3 methods. Can I do all 3? Yes. Yes, you can. There are some examples out there. I think I'll talk about real life examples. But then there are a few examples out there of top developers who are really earning, I mean, they're generating a lot of revenue, and it's not, what you're thinking about, 5 digits, 6 digits. It's actually 7 digits, or basically they're making millions of dollars. And what they do is that they would employ a combination of 3. So they would either, they're going to have, say, a paid download, a paid app, combined with in-app purchase, or they would have a free version that is supported by mobile advertising, but also includes in-app purchase. A good example, is Draw Something. Obviously, they're not the only example, but then I think they do a very good job in terms of leveraging each different methods, and then also they are using all 3 all together. So as you can see, Draw Something, they have a paid version, but then I'm pretty sure, actually here, how many have you heard of Draw Something? Raise your hand. I have. Did you pay for it? Who paid for it? So we all download the free version. I mean, this is a very small example. It's not representative, but still, that kind of gives you the idea of how many people will go and want to do this. This is, again, this is, go to a hawker center, get, mixed vegetable rice. It's not be more than that. And then you eat it, and then, you pass it out. But then this game, it's on your phone. You can play with your friends. It's really good, right? You can play with your friends for a year. But we just don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So what they do is that they have in-app purchase. I don't play Draw Something that much, but then I understand that they have basically paid via in-app purchase. You can purchase 2 things. One is you can have more colors, so your drawing can be more telling, and then you can purchase bombs. Basically, I think it gets you to the word faster. So basically, you pay real money, like $1.99, I believe that's what it says right there, and then you get 400 coins, and then instead, you would use these coins to buy colors and bombs. And last, they also use mobile advertising. So what they do is that at selective places, they would place a meta ad right here, or at the top. And then also, what is not shown here is that they would use interstitials. Interstitials, I think, is some term that not a lot of developers know about. But then in the US, in the UK, and in Europe, more sophisticated app developers or game developers are actually leveraging interstitial ads because the CTR is much higher, the response rate is a lot better, and basically you're getting more exposure. You're putting maybe if I put it this way, it doesn't sound good, but then basically you are creating more opportunities for advertisers to reach out to users. So basically, as a developer, from your perspective, that's more money to you. So these are the 3 different methods in real life. Let's take a deep dive into paid applications. Like what I've been saying, would you pay? I would pay for applications. Games, not so much. Maybe a little bit, a few like dorky games. I would pay. I mostly use Android phones, even though I have an iPhone. But I would pay for like those nostalgic SNES or like 8-bit kind of games, RPG games. I don't really pay for these. Personally, I don't pay for games like this. So when you want to put out an app, you should ask yourself. But then by saying asking yourself, I'm not really asking you to ask yourself, because if you ask yourself, would you pay for this? Hell yeah, I built it, it's great, it's awesome, the best app in the world. Of course I will pay for it. $2.99, $10 I will pay for it. But then Go ask your grandma, go ask your friends, grab somebody off the street, ask them, would you pay? You know, that's a hard, I know it's a hard question, but then we all, if you want to come up with a pay app, that's a question we have to ask. And just some statistics. Apple revealed that the whole of all Apple Store revenue goes to just 25 developers. This is in 2012. 50%. This is Apple's own stats. They released this. Just top 20 developers. So the rest basically is given out to, how many apps are there on the iOS App Store? 700,000, 800,000. So you divide it, you get the picture. How much money you can get from a paid app. Still good business if you make it to the top 25. That's what I'm saying. If you make it, you earn big bucks. If you don't, I don't know, maybe you earn a little bit pocket change. And then some other stats, 17 apps from the top paid for iPhone chart are in the games category. So if you want to come up with an app and you want users to pay for that, games are probably the best, the most profitable category to go for. More people would shell out money for apps instead of other categories, entertainment, utilities, and whatnot. And then 20 apps from the top paid for iPhone chart are priced at 99 cents. So that's probably what you want to go for. And then I know in the community there are some practices about lowering your price point. But then I think 99 cents is actually the minimum that you can go for, or it's going to be a cutthroat price war. But then yeah, so they would change the price point, you know, based on holiday season. You have a whole different school of thought behind that. But basically the takeaway is 99 cents is probably what you should go for if you want to sell your apps. And then that's for iPhone, and then for iPad, 5 apps from the top paid for iPad chart are priced at $90.99. So that means that maybe there is something about, you know, bigger is better. So people are willing to shell out more if an app is like, you know, an iPhone app this big, an iPad app this big, and then people think that they're actually getting more, so they're willing to pay more for that. 99 versus, I'm sorry, it's not showing here, but it's 99 for iPhone, $9.99 for iPad. Next, let's look at in-app purchase. So in-app purchase, again, like I said, basically you buy coins, and then coins are like in-game currencies that you use to purchase in-game virtual items. Or you buy avatars, level ups, and then when it comes to subscriptions, magazines and newspapers are typically they will go for in-app purchase because, you know, it's a recurring revenue for them. Like I said, I talk to developers all day long, indie guys to premium guys. I realized that there are 2 types of when it comes to 2 methodologies when it comes to in-game purchase. So one is what I call freemium. Freemium is like draw something. So basically, you're paying. You know, I give you a tease of the app, and then if you like it, you pay to get certain things in the game. So like, you know, coins, you get virtual items and whatnot. That's pretty straightforward. And then I think the Western world likes to use that a lot, the Western apps. But then I talked to a lot of APAC developers, and then the model is slightly different. It's also in-game purchase, but then what I call is instant gratification. Actually, you know, just pointing out, you know, it's a great example. The guy called him, I pay $75 for what? For power-ups, I'm gonna get a gun, I'm gonna shoot the other guy in the game, and I need it now. So that's in-game, like it's instant gratification, because there are these terms in the mobile game industry, because I talk to people like Greedy DNA, they call these guys, like in China they call them hardcore gamers. The Japanese call them whales. I think in the Western world they call them whales as well. So these are the guys who just basically, you know, if you were here, you know, online audience, you know what WoW is, right? World of Warcraft. These are hardcore gamers. They would pay stuff just to level up, just to be better in the game. So these instant gratification in-app purchase is basically giving power to users who don't want to wait. if I want, I can grind, basically kill more monsters, so level up, collect money. It's basically RPG game type of mechanism. But then in-app purchase is basically, I'm presenting you an opportunity. If you pay me 99 cents or $1 or $2, I'll give you the sword. Or this health potion, or stuff like that. So basically, it gives you a way, because the amount that you're paying is so little, you don't really think about that. So more people are more willing to shell out their, take money out of their pocket and pay you to get that instant gratification. But then it's really tricky, because you gotta make sure that you still have you're gonna have a huge free user base that are non-paying versus these paying users who are paying you via in-game purchase. And you want to make sure there's a balance. You don't want users. These guys are always powering these non-paying users, because they're gonna have a in-game riot and then leave the game, and then it's detrimental for your business. So again, in-app purchase is a business. It's a very interesting business if you can make it work, but then you have to put a lot of thought into it. It's like going back to my point. It's a product feature. It's not something you implement. It's not fire and forget. Basically, you implement it. You have to keep improving it. If you look at other examples, a lot of developers, I think another example that I like to use is Line. Line, they have these all Q stickers, but then if you look at that, it would always come up with new set of stickers, for Christmas, for movies, for this and that. Basically, you have to have a team or people to keep churning out these product features, even though users are features that users are paying for. It's not something you set and forget. You have to keep evolving it. So that's what makes it slightly more difficult. And lastly, mobile advertising. That's the company that I work for, and it's a business that I've been in for quite some time. Advertising is huge. I said it's 6.4, but then they're $6 billion business, but they have different measurements. What we think is it's really a 8.4 billion mobile advertising business, but at the end of the day, it's just an astronomical figure. It's huge, and there's a lot of different players in this ecosystem. A little bit about the company. So right now, in the mobile advertising world, it's basically dominated by 3 players. Google. Actually, I came from Google, and then I moved on to AdMob, and then I decided to join this second guy because I like the underdog story. Millennial Media. We hold about 16.7% of market share in the world, and Apple is iAd is third, and then there are all other a whole lot of different players in the system. They all add up to 10%. And then our company was founded in 2006 by people who are now mobile and advertising. So a lot of people. So this is a U.S. company, and then the CEO, they all either worked at Verizon, the largest telco in the U.S., or advertising.com. So we all have expertise of different, basically 2 major components for mobile advertising. And I'll tell you why that's important in the later slide. And then we're not part of any PC internet portal, aka Google or search engine, or we don't sell handsets or own an app store, aka Apple. Mobile advertising is what we do. So I think the key part is that if you want to go with mobile advertising, something you should look for in a partner is that somebody that can deliver these 3 qualities. One is fill rate. You might not know what fill rate is. So basically, we have a term that's called inventory. It's impressions generated by your users in your app. So say you have 1 million. It's not session numbers actually. I know that a lot of developers they use Flurry. They would quote me, hey, I just asked them how many impressions do you have. They quote me the session number. It's not that. But then it's a close approximation to impressions. Basically, what it means is that when a banner ad is shown in front of the user, that's 1 impression. So that's it. So fill rate, you want to make sure you have all these inventory, right, this high, and then you have different ads that being put into them. You want to make sure that whenever there's an opportunity for you as a publisher to show an ad to a user, there's an ad to fill that. There are some networks out there who don't have a good fill rate. So basically it's wasted opportunities for you to make money. So that's fill rate. And then what's important about that is that campaign diversity. Because if you say I'm using this ad on a daily basis, I'm playing a game, and then like say Angry Birds, and I see this ad all the time. I'm playing this level over and over again. I see the same ad. I might interact with if I think this ad is interesting, I might interact with it the first time I see it. The second time I see it, would you basically you've seen that, and so you don't want to interact with it. And then you as a publisher, keep showing the same ad is bad for you, because there are some advertisers who are paying for CPC, basically cost per click. If if users are not clicking on that, you don't earn money. So what you want is not just to have a high fill rate, but also you want campaign diversity. So you want to be able to see different ads filled in your app, say McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, Mercedes, all different advertising, different ads, different creative that would engage users to be filled in your inventory. And the ability to deliver brand campaigns meaning McDonald's, the brand names we all know, and then some performance campaigns. Performance campaign is what we define as like more CPC driven or CPI driven advertisers. Like I would say GameLoft, Green DNA, all these big mobile social gaming guys. They are all throwing money a lot to promote the downloads of their games. Zio just quoted 500,000 a day. I can tell you that's not the biggest. I mean I've seen some of the companies going like $1 million or $2 million a day just to promote. That's why if you take out your phone, play games or use app utilities, you'll see these games. Like you keep seeing say Rage of Bahamut or some other games. I'm pretty sure you've seen that. So there are a lot of these campaign performance advertisers. They have a lot of money to throw, and you as a publisher, that's basically ways for you to generate money. Advertising quality. So basically, you don't want some low rent developer advertisers to come in and throw come in with an ad that looks not good, not well put together, and then or maybe they're promoting something that's just not interesting. We want premium advertisers to come in and show you. We all like brand stuff, right? I mean, we associate it with the quality. So you want to make sure that the partner that you work with are able to get these premium advertisers to advertise, and then send ads to your applications, and you can monetize via that. And also you want to make sure that you have a diversity across different advertisers. So these two combined together is basically you want quality and then you want diversity, because from a user's perspective, they see interesting ads, and also they don't see repetitive ads. There's going to be a higher engagement rate on those ads, and want a partner that can deliver you that. And then lastly, eCPM. eCPM stands for effective cost per thousand impressions. It's an index of how the network is monetizing for you. So basically, you see eCPM from 50 cents to $1 to $2, $3. Basically, what that means is that, remember I was talking about impression numbers? You can kind of take a range to think about, if I have 100 million impressions in a month, and the eCPM is $1, how much money can I make? The answer is $100,000. So that's why I'm saying it's actually a very good business for developers, and then it's very robust, simply because there are a lot of technology thrown into this whole ecosystem, and then advertisers, they think it's a good way for them to engage with users, so they are willing to push money into it. So back to eCPM. what you want is basically brand advertisers, like the likes of, again, McDonald's or Mercedes, that are willing to pay more money because their advertising budget is higher. So for every impression, for every click, they're willing to pay high. So in terms that money translates into your revenue. And it also started because of the advancement of smartphones. Phones can do a lot more things. Ads are not just simple banners anymore. There are a lot of interactions that you can do with the banner, which I'll show later. But basically, these kind of rich media ads are charged at a higher price. So it's another benefit to developers who are using advertising, because then you bump up your eCPM, and then basically it's like every one of the impression is priced at a higher point. And then also having advanced targeting solutions, basically something that we do right now is we do location targeting. So Nike actually ran a campaign with us targeting users around Orchard area. And then they paid top dollars for that because it's very targeted. In the advertising world, the more targeted you are, the higher price you have to pay. That's basically the gist of it. So, again, allow me to reiterate, don't wait until the last minute. Integrate ads as early as possible in your development process. Include ads as part of your testing plan, because you want to make sure that when you want to make sure that the application or game function as promised, but also you want to make sure the ads are delivered as promised, because if there's anything wrong, you're basically wasting the impressions, you're not getting paid. And then, we're here to help you along the way if you choose to work with us. Some ways to maximize it is basically, again, a lot of developers that I work with, they just, they plug in the SDK and enable banner ads and forget about it. But then what they don't know is that this is supply. But advertisers are coming to us and asking, I want to run rich media ads. I'm running banner ads, that's the staple of my campaign, but then I want rich media ads, I want video ads. Where can I deliver it? That's where you guys come in. So basically, it's very interesting. I'm telling developers, put this in, you get more money. And then it makes me think, am I in the right business? Maybe I should go and partner with my friends, come up with an ad, generate a lot of impressions, and I know what to do with all these. And basically I can earn more. And then these developers are just, I guess it's an education problem. They don't know what the opportunities are. They don't know they don't know advertisers are asking for that. I'm sitting here in the company, I work with developers, but then I'm also hearing a lot of things from advertisers, because actually I came from advertising side. I know what they want. And then I see this tremendous opportunity, but then developers just don't understand. A lot of money is being left on the table. It's up for this. And they don't know they can tap into this or even that. I can tell you, banner ads, eCPM, 50 cents to $1.20. Rich media, your eCPM could go higher, $1.50, $2 maybe. Interactive video, I think video ads is on the rise. My friends at YouTube, they're selling a lot of video ads right now. If you go to YouTube right now, I believe most of the clips that you watch, you're gonna see a pre-roll, and then the mid-roll, and then end roll, right? So a lot of advertisers are putting money into that. They're doing the same thing on mobile. eCPM for interactive video ads can go, I would say, $2, $3, or even $5. So basically, if you want to use ads as a monetization strategy, then definitely you want to see if you can incorporate all three of them. Let's look at individual ones. So banner ads. Why advertisers use banner ads is to connect with their target audience economically and efficiently across a broad range of inventory. What that means in plain English is that because there are so many different devices out there in the market. We're showing here an iPhone, but then there are Android devices, there are iPads. iPads now have big iPads, small iPad, and then you have the Android tablets, and we support Windows Phone as well. So there are a whole slew range of devices. The lowest common denominator is the banner ads. So that's why you want to incorporate banner ads into it. Your opportunity is basically to have exposure to both premium and performance and brand advertisers. And typically the fill rate of this is much higher because, again, advertisers when they come in, they always buy. I would say, it's something they always buy. They will come in and basically what they do is they come in, say, I want to buy banner ads, then I add a component for rich media ads, and some depending on the campaign objective, they might add video ads as well. Next up, rich media ads. So why advertisers use rich media ads? Because right now they want to create some kind of experience, as you see here. Actually, it's, I think, H&M. Oh no, I'm sorry, Westin Hotel. So basically, I don't know what they're trying to promote. Comfortable, balloon, bed, I guess. So they want to try to engage with users, not just showing them something. You want them to actually touch it. When you're kind of you're investing time interacting with an ad, that means that you're more likely to be receptive to their messaging. So it's a highly visible opportunity to maximize the exposure and create buzz for brands. Brands love these kind of stuff. And then because it allows for different ad formats, we leverages HTML5, we love that. Offer a wide variety of different features. So the kind of creative that I've seen is you can pinch zoom, you can swipe, or tab, or whatever. You can even play a game like that. I think I've seen creative executions of whack-a-mole. So basically, think of these like mole per box, you pop them and play the game. And then again, same opportunity is exposure to premium brand advertisers. This is usually being paid by advertisers with bigger budgets, so they're premium advertisers. And then the ECPM is typically much higher simply because we charge them more. Lastly, interactive video ads. So these are ads. You can either tap on the banner and then expand and play an ad, video ad for you, or it's in a interstitial form. So basically, between say playing something or song pop between stages, they will slot in a advertisement, a full screen advertisement, and it would be either an image or a video ad. So video ads is actually in high demand. I encourage a lot of developers that are working to incorporate this as much as possible because the eCPM is really high for that. And then anytime that you're showing this, you show 1,000 times, that's sometimes that's a lot of money for them. So basically, again, like what I was saying, advertisers sometimes they want to go beyond and above, and just basically create a short film, a short clip, to show users, to engage them in a way. And then we all like watching videos. Actually, I was searching. I think Thai people, they have very good sense of humor. I mean, they have a lot of interesting TV commercials, and then those are great opportunities for them to put this to engage users on their mobile devices. And so that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, video ads are it's something that advertisers love to use to engage users because it's easier for them to convey a message to provoke their emotions. So there are different variety of interactive features, and allow developers to advertisers to place different buttons to interact with the ad. And then we also allow developers to put a hard stop. So basically, maybe if users don't feel like watching it, or it just doesn't concern me, then I want to skip, they can click on the skip button. So there's there's minimum impact on user experience. And again, your opportunity is that it's premium brand advertisers. You gotta have a good budget to even create a video first to begin with, right? So and then to run these kind of ads, the delivery, it all costs money. So they have to pay more money, and then that translates into revenue for developers. And it's available on iOS and Android because we need to tap into the smartphone features. Again, I mean, back to how do you be successful? Basically, it's if you use banner ads, you want to make sure that you're using effective placement, and then try. So what does effective placement mean? That means that they're not intrusive, but that they are clearly visible. We want to make sure that users are able to tap on the ad and not something that's elusive, it's hard to click on, or basically you want to make sure that it's not in user's way, but then it's not elusive. And also you want to make sure that it's appropriately sized, and use appropriate transition or open space on the page. So basically nowadays the phones are getting larger and larger. iPhone stays more or less the same, but then they're now longer, right? And then if you have an Android phone, you're seeing that now I think the common phone size is about 4.3, 4.7. A lot of in 2013, a lot of 5-inch devices are going to kind of come out. So there's going to be more screen real estate, and that's a great opportunity for better ads because you can place it in a place that is visible, but then it's not blocking any content. And then what you want to do is just use one ad, one page. You don't want to overload it. And if you overload it, you create a negative experience for users. What you want to avoid are ineffective placements. So that, for example, ads that are placed near action buttons or interfere with user experience. I mean, I've used other apps, basically, like on iOS, Zoom was just talking about there's no back button, so you have to click on every page there's a back button. And I've seen developers put the banner right next to that back button. So when I want to tap on that back, I don't want to click on the ad, and I accidentally click on the ad because I was reaching for the back button. It creates a negative user experience. It's bad for advertisers because you were clearly not interested in it, yet you cost them a click. And then for you personally, you get it, right? So don't do that. Ads in a location that can contribute to, that's why I was talking about fat fingers. I have fat fingers. And ads that are cut off or have poor resolution. So basically, there are ads, I've seen implementations where ads are just not aligned right. It's a poor user experience, and then advertisers hate that. And then there are people who are paying money. We want to make sure that we deliver the best user experience or ad experience to users. Lastly, how do you make sure that you stand out? You want to basically, like I was saying, mobile advertising is a robust business that scales with your own business. If you have more users, you're gonna generate more revenue. So you want to have high volume and then have high click-through rate. It will basically boost up your eCPM, make sure that your revenue is higher. And also, like I said, don't just incorporate typical banner ads, but also enable engaging rich media ads and video formats. The other thing is that a lot of developers don't realize that you want to pass available metadata like location, such as location, or gender, age, or income, those kind of information. If you collect those, we're able to use that for advertisers to target users. Developers don't realize that because they don't realize advertisers aren't asking for that. And it's our part, it's our job to educate users, developers, that they can, take advantage of this advertiser demand. So again, enable rich media ads, video ads, pass us metadata such as location or demographic. And lastly, if you want to integrate ads, you want to make sure it's only in your process, development process, so you can plan out how you want to test the whole package of applications. And I gotta say this, why do you want to choose Millennial Media to work? Because we're developer focused. I may not look like a developer, but then in college I wrote Java games. I built Risk on Java, I use Lisp. I don't know whether you know what it is, to build AI component of reversing. So basically all these strategy board games. That's what I did in college, and I love that. And the people that we hire, that we work with, the people that I hire are all developer focused. And it's proven technology. Like I said, remember the example I was telling you. I'm a paying customer, paying 99 cents, and I get pissed. Advertising is a very serious business, $6 billion or $8 billion business. You can't screw it up. You mess it up, you get sued. It's not like bad reviews. Basically, you sink your company. So you want to work with a company that actually has proven technology. It's not, I've seen a lot of developers working with other partners. Basically, their SDK is not that robust. So it creates a very bad user experience when ad delivery is not correct. And then advertisers are angry, users are angry, and developers are caught in the middle. And it's like, oh shit, okay, developer, I'm getting flack from the network that I work with because advertisers are angry, and then users are telling me the experience is bad, and then you lose. So you want to make sure that you pick somebody, a company that is that has proven technology, that is robust. We also offer cross-platform support, so we support iOS, Android. These are in hot demand. Advertisers love to send ads to these two platforms. But we also support Windows Phone, mobile web, BlackBerry too. But Justine is not here, so okay. And then we offer extensive support. We have a team here. We have a lot of teams around the globe to support developers. And here are some stats about Millennial Media. I know we're not a big name here in APAC yet, but then we're actually a public listed company in the US. We have 380 million unique users per month worldwide, and 150 million of those are in the US. We can target 7,000 devices. Impression-wise, we have about 45 billion impressions per month. Our SDKs are installed in 38,000 applications, and then I know this actually is not that relevant here, but then it goes to show you, AdAge is an organization for brand advertisers in the US, and top 7,500 top AdAge advertisers are our repeating customers. Lastly, I keep saying lastly, but I basically have two more sites. You can grow your, as Sion was saying, it's very interesting that I keep saying that. And advertising is actually a big part. So we help developers make money, but then if they want, they can actually spend some money they earn from us or money that they put in themselves to promote downloads of their applications. So we provide this platform for developers to earn money and then spend money. Basically, it's a circle. You pay money to acquire more users, to generate more impressions, and these impressions translate into more revenue to you, and it forms a circle. So it's in-app advertising that you can earn revenue from, or if you want, you can actually, maybe there's some guy will come to you and say, hey, you have an interesting app. I want to promote my product in your application. You can run your own client ads in it, or you can run house ads. House ads is what we call to promote your own application. So basically, say you have 3 applications, and then you're all using banners, and then you just you have these 3 in the market, and then they all have users, and you come up with the 4th one, and you don't want to build that from scratch. You don't want to build a user base for the 4th one from scratch. You can use house ads. Basically, your existing users of these 3 apps will see banner ads by you to promote the 4th one. So it's cross promotion. So yeah, this is what I was saying. If you want, you can, basically this is what the platform enables you to do. If you want to advertise, spend money, acquire users, you can specify your target audience, control mobile ad creative. Creative is what we call basically the banner ads. And so we provide you a tool to manage your campaigns, and then also we want to make sure, once you run campaigns, you want to measure the the effectiveness of it, and we help you. We have a whole dashboard for you to do that. So this really is my last slide, and this is the information. So if you want, we actually have a promo code for you. If you want, I know that you don't. You guys, most of you don't have an application to promote, but it's fine. I mean, you can put this up on Twitter. Your friends, if you have a friend who has a application, and then they want to, you know, they want to drive demos, we're actually giving out a free $100 credit for developers to spend money. So basically, all you need to do is spend $1 with us, and we give you $100 to spend on advertising to promote your apps. And this is my information. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I don't tweet too much, but I do. And it's all like Android and Android stuff. And that's my email. Reach out to me if you want. And I don't think I have much time left, but then let's open up the floor to questions. Are busy taking photos. Make sure you get that promo code right. Sure.
With this kind of like your company mostly get the client like a big business like brands, then you split it into a developer as a channel involvement. Like I mean, on the last few slides you mentioned that there's an internal developer trying to promote their own apps, but how big is that? Because I was thinking like with let's say 1.5 CPM on the banner, you're trying to sell 99% apps. It's kind of a bit hard.
Right. So, guys, like when I say eCPM, it's actually that's the metrics for developers. So I guess there's I should have spent some time to explain the terminologies. So eCPM is actually affected cost per 1,000 impressions, but then that's not cost to you. It's actually more like revenue to you. So that means that if I have 1 million impressions a month, and then the eCPM is $1.50. So that means that you earn $1,500.
That means as an advertiser that try to promote my apps, I will pay a bit more than that even. And then given let's say a percent CTR, you get what, 10 clicks, which I'm not sure how many clicks will change into $1.
Yeah, so it's actually not that. So, so this is like advertising. It seems interesting, it seems easy, but then it's a lot more complicated than that. So I'll give you very briefly how advertisers come to us. So they will come to us and then say, I want to promote like game downloads, not just game downloads. Maybe like we're doing running campaigns for McDonald's right now. They have Prosperity Burger. They have like Big Burger, whatever. I don't remember what they're promoting. But basically, they come to us and they say, I want to run rich media campaigns, and then we give them a code. If it's CPM, basically, but we don't charge them when users clicked on that. But then anytime that their ad is shown, we charge them. So we say we charge you, say, rich media ads $2 US per 1,000 impressions. And then they're gonna buy, hey, I wanna buy CPC ads as well. So when a user click on the banner, I'm gonna have to pay, but if it's shown, I don't have to pay. Me, I say I as in McDonald's. So they would say CPC, 20 cents, 25 cents. So that's how they buy. And then there are so many different ads like this running in our network. And then we'll find the right targeting. So basically, we'll look at what McDonald's targeting profile is. They say, I want to target Singapore users on Android. Let's say they have these two targeting parameters. And then we take we put their ads in our system, and then we look at our network and say, okay, Orange Pop, Zynga, or some other games, whatever. I mean, they all have Singapore Android user traffic, and we try to feed out our ads into that. And there are so many of them. So at the end of the day, we'll calculate the exact eCPM for you. I can't give you, I don't know what the formula is because they have different prices and whatnot. But basically, what you need to remember is that you don't have to care about what advertisers are paying for. What you, as a developer, need to think about is what is the eCPM, what is the fill rate, and what is the quality of these ads. Does that answer your question?
Can I add a little one?
Sure.
Yes, I mean, I'll completely agree on that side that it will help me earn money in that sense as a developer, but I was thinking about the visibility of using it as an advertising method for me as a developer to increase my downloads.
Right, yeah. So I agree. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of competitions if you come into the advertising world as an advertiser, because now if you're paying money, you're an advertiser. There is a lot of competition. But then, remember what I was saying, knowing your users, know where they are. Basically, your apps not necessarily going to be used only in Singapore, maybe around the world, right? So maybe what you can do is pick countries where you have a good user base, and users are, like in this country, say Taiwan, and you have users who give you great reviews, they love your applications, but then there are not a lot of advertisers who are actually buying in that market now. And then you can leverage that. You can pay a lower CPC rate to drive downloads. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that you should go gung-ho and then throw all your money in and then compete with, like say, McDonald's, because they're going to pay more money, right? But then you can know your users, where they are, and then play to your strengths, basically. Any other questions? Sure.
For implementation purposes, do you differentiate between mobile browser and mobile native apps in terms of serving ads?
Yep, we do. So for native apps, we have SDK, which can do a lot more things. If you want, like what I was saying, banner ads, rich media ads, video ads, they all rely on the SDK. For mobile web, we offer Java, basically, I think we call it server to server, so basically it's JavaScript. It serves just the banner ads. You can't really do a lot of things right now, but then I'm pretty sure it's gonna change, because again, based on Justin's talk, HTML5, I was looking at Facebook. It's very impressive, so I think that will change. But at this moment, to answer your question, yes, native apps, they use SDK, they get better eCPM, better view rate, because they get all kinds of ads. Mobile web, it's just bad ads at this moment.
What are the mobile platforms that Millennium Media is available on?
Yeah, so all platforms, Android, iOS, our SDKs are updated pretty frequently, and it's tested. I mean, that's our bread and butter, because advertisers love it. But we also support Windows Phone. We have an SDK for that, actually. For BlackBerry, we use server to server. So, and then the rest of that, it's basically mostly, like even Symbian I have Symbian developers working with me, but then mostly they use server to server integration. Any more questions? No? Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, for the final session, we have a speaker from Samsung. He's going to tell us about development opportunities for Samsung in the mobile and TV spaces. Nicholas Fu is has been in the mobile domain for 10 years, and he's currently leads the developer initiative in Asia for Samsung. Over to you.
Right. Thanks. Hey guys, good afternoon, and first of all, really great to see all of you here on a wet Saturday. Promise wouldn't keep you guys back for too long. All of you are looking really tired, but nonetheless still very enthusiastic. A little bit about myself. I spent 10 years with a European manufacturer of mobile phones. I guess you guys can guess who that is. In the developer space, and I moved on to Samsung about 2 months ago. And the intent is that lots of people buy Samsung devices, but at least when I came on board with them, they did very little in the developer space. They have run global campaigns, global contests, but there wasn't a face in Asia, and all that's going to change. And hopefully within the next couple of months, you guys will be a part of it. So I'm here today to give a very informative discussion, no stress, but there is a contest ongoing that I understand from the PlugFest folks who've very kindly invited me here. And I would like to set in motion you guys thinking about how best you can use our tools, our SDKs and our plugins in your contest or if you're doing Android, hey, why not give a thought to having your apps on board the Samsung App Store, or even for Samsung devices. I did a study once, and out of a report by Vision Mobile, you guys can look at it, it's on the web. One of the 73% respondents hold that number one choice for developing for a device is the reach. And I think that this slide explains it. We're number one today in the smartphone race across the world. And hence, it's definitely something that you guys as mobile developers should look at. Our market share as of last quarter, about 32.5, the largest in the world. And on Android, which is of course the predominant OS today on mobile devices, we have plugins, which I'll talk a little about soon to come. And the intent is that you guys can use these plugins in developing for a Samsung mobile device. So if you already have a base core platform based on Android, why not add in our plugins and have these available for the Samsung range? Not only are we mobile, we're also very much a dominant player in the what I call the digital appliance, or to put it simply, home appliance. And one of it is the TVs. Our TVs are also number one worldwide today, and there is an opportunity for developers. And you'll be pleasantly surprised, when I came on board Samsung, I thought it was going to be a very confusing developer environment for TVs, but it really isn't. So we're just starting up on the ecosystem in Asia right now, and I think that you'll see things changing all across Southeast Asia. And of course, in my home base, I'm based in Singapore, plan to do a lot of activities in that space with workshops, code camps, and more importantly, providing monetization opportunities for you guys. Our website supports the entire range of services that developers need and want, which is from the downloading our toolkits all the way till testing and of course distribution. And I'll speak about that in a little while. So what can you do in the Android space? This is a Google event, and therefore I have to of course talk a little bit more about Android. One is, we do have a platform for one of our tools. It is called the S Pen. S Pen is basically a stylus, but we've done a lot of integration onto the system, and developers were definitely looking for apps related to the S Pen today. Not many here out of the Singapore local scene. I hope to grow that. But the intent is that developers use this SDK and create apps that consumers can use using their pen. Because as our phones get bigger, it gets a little more difficult to use your tongue and your fingers, and therefore they use one of our little tools here. The market for the S Pen over here on Note 2, over 5 million sales as of November. Of course, it's gone a lot bigger. The first device, the Galaxy Note, over 10 million. And very recently, our S series, over 100 million devices. So that's the kind of market that you guys can look forward to worldwide. Is that a question? So what is in the SDK? An advanced drawing engine. You can actually detect when a user pulls out or inserts a pen, and of course fire or launch a service or an application on the device. So it's really good for folks in the enterprise space. You can do animated multimedia management. So basically, if you draw, and it has an API that allows you to replay the drawing. So if you understand a little love note or kind of app for folks, for young couples, you can do that. Again, back to the enterprise space, it has signature recognition. So if there's some app that you want to, you're working with, say, an insurance company, definitely we have APIs for that. Image processing, if you want to add filters, provide an old feel to a photograph, or even black and white, you do have that. That's in the API as well. And of course, I mentioned earlier, there are APIs to detect when the pen is removed, when it's inserted, and of course to break the phone into two and have a kind of like a multi-window effect where you could run two different apps. So lots of
Is a pen SDK have image processing?
It is part of image processing as well, because what is your question? What can it do in the image processing
No,
space?
I mean it's a pen SDK
Yes.
for the S Pen, right?
Yes.
Then like have image processing.
In case you want to draw on an image. So it's not just people. I think well, we're trying to change all that, but our marketing isn't very accurate. But your question is very. It's really a good question. Why is there image processing inside? So say for instance, I want to pull out an image. I want to do a doodle on it. You could then add to the image or add on to the image. Does that explain the image processing part? Yeah. So it is a very powerful set of SDKs. It's not just simply use the pen to draw something. We do have a full suite of tools and services in the SDK as well. So do take a look at it. And to better answer your question, these are the different kind of application categories or genres that developers like you guys can think of. Graphics, so you could have like birthday wishes, birthday cards, memos and planners, you can actually draw on it. In brainstorming certain apps, it could be like online news where you get to circle the latest headlines to send it across to someone else to read. Games, of course, using the pen. Some folks over in Vietnam have developed kind of like fishing games using the pen. Social networking, education, one untapped market for preschoolers. Who, if you want them to identify where the tire of a car is, where the steering wheel is, you could do something around that with a pen. And of course, I mentioned signature recognition, which is of course the B2B space. Chat-on is our messaging system, for want of a better word. It's kind of like WhatsApp online these days, and there is an SDK for that. We're trying to engage with developers to grow that space as well. The idea here is that you as a developer could plug on to the SDK and send messages via the application should you wish to all the users of the chat-on service. So it's something that we're trying to grow and get our consumers as well as developers to adopt. We have very compelling tools for this as well. And of course, we work with operators across Asia with chat-on as well. So that's also another opportunity that you guys can work with. AllShare is an SDK which we released just last week. It enables sharing. It is basically a sharing framework that allows one Samsung device to talk to other Samsung device within the household, whether it's a TV, a camera, or a PC. So the idea is that you could stream your videos, your music, or your images across to those other devices. It is not just Samsung, so it doesn't have to be a Samsung device. I believe the standard there is called Miracast. So you could actually broadcast over the images or graphics that you want to another Miracast compliant device. If I'm not wrong, Sony has some of them. So that's the AllShare framework. Scenarios, stream media files to other devices. There is a remote control SDK on board, so you can actually control a Samsung TV, direct sharing over Wi-Fi, and to also mirror your mobile screen onto another device if you want to. The part I was talking about, TVs, an untapped space. It is untapped because when I joined Samsung, I thought, hey, that must be very complicated C or deep C programming stuff, but it isn't. Basically, it is just JavaScript. So it is a web application that you're designing for the TV, and these two are actual apps out there in the market today. So this developer has created something for the Singapore market, where he's created an online tutorial on the TV that a student, a primary 6 student in this case, can log in and start to do revision on their device at home. Another one of them for kids, it's kind of like read to me, read by myself. For those of you at the back who may not be able to see. But the idea is that having an application on the TV, which of course have a longer lifespan than the mobile device, because most consumers, I'm just talking to my friend in the back, most consumers don't change their TVs for a good 5 or 6 years, which means that you can always create applications for that market and for those consumers. Example of a news application over here. But again, the gist is that for you guys, it would be the language of the web that you're coding in, which is just HTML and JavaScript. and you can actually sell the application on our TVs worldwide, not just in Asia. So our website, as with most other developer organizations, we support all our API references, tutorials, sample applications, and of course we have the discussion board as well. A question earlier was, how do I test my applications? From one of the organizers here. Well, currently we have a remote test lab where devices are enabled over the internet over in Singapore. For you guys next time, if you want to get an actual device, we are going to start up a loan service very shortly. It's not going to happen within this month, but I'm working on that. So if you've got a great application and would like to think about it, do grab my cards after this. I'll flash my email again. You can have a chat, and I'm definitely looking to getting you guys loan devices, because that has been a cry I've heard constantly, not just from yourselves, but also from the organizers of this event, that manufacturers such as Samsung offer developers loan devices so that they can do their testing and get a much better experience. So these are the different kind of devices that our test lab, our remote test lab has right now, and we keep adding on to it. So the idea and intent here is that we would use this in the current time frame, up until our actual loan service, actual device loan service is available. I've said my task is to kickstart Samsung's developers community here in Asia, and of course so much more in Singapore. I hope to do that through more events such as this, and soon to come you'll see our very own Samsung Developer Day, where if you're part of our database, for sure you guys will be invited, and to understand a lot more of our developer options and platforms, and how you can make money with Samsung. I'm also in talks with, I understand some of you are students, so I'm also in talks with about 5 or 6 Institute of Higher Learnings here, whether they are polytechnics or whether they are universities, and the idea is that these students would develop applications and services based on Samsung in mind. Had a privilege to go to one of the schools last week, and they had 3D printers. And what they were going to do was to create some sort of an amplifier for a Samsung device, because one of the students said, hey, instead of cupping my device so that I could amplify the volume, I'd like to use my 3D printer to create some sort of a stand where the phone would go. And I thought that was super amazing, and something which is beyond, maybe beyond applications and services, but definitely, if it improves the lives of people, why not? If like 3 or more people could use a mobile device to learn and share stuff. So we're going to go into academic activities across Asia. We're going to start running our own workshop, and as well as our code camp. So highlight here is please stay tuned. We have an app store, and I know there's been a lot of talk today about Google Store. We're not here to compete with them, rather I would say we complement them. So it is another channel by which you guys will develop Android. You can put your app onto the Google Store, you can put your app on the Samsung Store. Obviously, if you develop for our Samsung devices like the S Pen, it would be even better to put your application on the Samsung App Store. But basically, it's pretty rigged up well today, given that it has all the different kind of app capabilities, app monetization capabilities that was spoke of through all the various different sessions that we had from the wonderful speakers today. So premium app, one-time download, in-app advertising, in-app purchasing, they're all available right now. And it's just not for Android alone, but also for the other range of platforms that Samsung provides. Worldwide, various app payment options, credit card, in-app billing with the operators, and of course vouchers, services more than 125 countries. Kind of stats over here where the top 5 downloaded countries for Samsung today. You can see that: China, Korea, India, France, Germany. But the intent here is when you put an app on the Samsung App Store, it serves consumers of Samsung mobile equipment worldwide. The TV as well, as I said, untapped market, something that we'll love to see you guys get on board. Whether you're creating a one-screen experience or a 4-screen experience where you have one app served across 4 different devices, including the PC and tablets, of course. achieving true convergence. We have an app store on the TV as well. So it serves in effect like a big web browser where consumers can actually purchase apps, your app, and download them. I'll show you the example of the local scene where we have developers who develop for the junior kids market, studying aids like primary 6 tutorials. So these are the kind of actual apps that we have today. If for someone who buys a Samsung TV, they've got Facebook, they've got Skype, they've got Time, they've got USA Today, and of course it will thrill me no end for you guys to come up with local Singapore relevant applications for our Singapore users of our televisions. So that's something that you guys can actually have a thought about. Where users are downloading TV applications, the bigger markets, the BRIC markets, and as well as Asia, of course. Ad Hub, won't go too much about this. Basically, the gist is as what the previous speaker spoke about. We do have an Ad Hub environment where developers such as yourself can look for alternative monetization options. So there is an SDK where you guys could plug into. Of course, the addition is that it's not just mobiles that you are serving ads to. We are also serving ads to our televisions. The different kind of apps we have: expandable, interstatal, and of course carousel. It's more an effect for the consumer and what they see. But the SDK, we have tools and APIs to enable this kind of really nice effects on our devices. Ad Hub TV, I spoke a little bit earlier on, so it's not just the mobile your ad is being served to, but also television. We currently run different sort of campaigns, and one of them that I thought I would highlight is that we will take your application and for free, we'll help you translate it to the various languages that you see here, that you can put available in those markets. So if you're coming up with an Android application, and you haven't the faintest idea what Russian's all about, but you would like to make it available for the Russian market, we have developer teams among us, and we'll do it free for you to translate your app for the Russian market, and of course for the other different markets listed above, whether it's Spanish or Korean. So it's a free service, and it is available today. One of the things that we also do is, because we own what we call our portals, where we our app store or on the mobile, on the TV, we will do so to promote your applications as well. I think Tzu Yong talked about the difficulties of developers like yourself getting apps onto Google and getting people to notice them. The difference is we own our own what you call different portals, whether it's on the TV, on the web. And it is the case that if you like to, and if your app is compelling for the Singapore market, we can do so to work out where we put your apps on the first page of the Samsung App Store for the Singapore market. So what I'm trying to get at is that we will advertise your application, we'll do a lot of marketing for you. And I think that is the differentiating factor if you're thinking about why not Google, why Samsung. So and of course our TV also plays a part. So we do promotions for you guys of our applications. It's really excited about that. That's alright. And of course it doesn't end there. It's not just the web or on the TV, but we're also looking right now into how we can bring your apps to our retail stores. So we're looking at projects like having your apps on board kiosks in our store. Or it could be simple QR codes. The idea is that I walk into a Samsung store or a Singtel shop, I buy a phone, I come out, I could plug it into a kiosk, download your app, or I could come out and wave my phone over a QR code, and it will take me to applications created by you guys. So these are the different kind of marketing channels that we are going to do for you guys as developers. Of course, with the hope that you guys start thinking about developing apps for Samsung devices. We also have additional incentive programs currently ongoing. So everybody knows that when you buy an app from the App Store, the standard today is 30/70 or 70/30. 70 to the developer, 30 to the operator, or whoever it may be, whether it's Apple or Nokia or Samsung. But in our case, we return 10% of the sales as a reward for monthly sales of $1,000 or more. So we're going over and beyond the 70% to you. In this example, if you achieve 5,000 sales in 1 month, you receive an additional 10% on top of the 70% that's given to you by Samsung. So, you can do the math. If you do extra sales, 10,000 or more, or 1,000 or more, it starts building up at the end. Requirements must be a paid app. Of course, if you give a free app, there's no extra to add on to. Okay, this was done by my Korean colleague, not me. Okay, or in-app purchase apps. So that's our different kind of incentive program that we have for you guys. This is a contest that we had last year. I don't know if anybody here took part in it. I don't really know right now whether we'll have it again this year. We probably will. But keep an eye on it. This is more of our global initiatives. I'm more keen on our local, on the ground initiatives. But anyway, if you'd like to take part in a worldwide challenge, this is an example of what we did last year, where we gave away $4 million as prize money, the marketing benefits that I spoke about, and of course the promotional activities that we did with the developers. So we may have another one this year. Definitely reach out to the organizers of this event for the database so I could start to send mails to you guys if you guys are alright with that. And with that, that's our ecosystem, and I promise I wouldn't keep you guys too long. It is Saturday after all, and you guys have sacrificed the whole day for this event. So if you have any questions, we could take that.
With regards to the smart TV thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, I forgot that also from which I was quoting from. The smart TV market is still, what I call it, not a very it's not really a good market for developers to go in, since we know that there's so many smart TVs, so many manufacturers out there. So what is it about Samsung smart TVs which would really help us make an informed decision as a developer to develop
I brought it up. I brought it up earlier, but we're number 1 in Asia right now. Okay, that's not a bragging right, but rather as a developer, it means that our TVs have reached mass appeal among the consumers. So take the example of the US. 1 out of every 3 TV is a Samsung TV. So you can be sure that you throw a stone on a home user in the US of A, one of them will have a Samsung TV. So your app will be there in the store. Yeah. So it's the reach. Yep. Not so much that we're number 1. It's more, there are more consumers using Samsung products than any other television today. Yeah. And that goes for mobile devices as well.
Your API, can it be used in Eclipse?
Yes.
Eclipse together.
Yes. I didn't know the audience today, so I didn't want this to be too technical. But for our Android application, our core platform is Eclipse.
In the Ubuntu OS?
In Ubuntu, yes. Ubuntu as well. Our All Share only supports Windows 7, but for the rest, yes. Yeah. For our TVs as well, it's also Eclipse. Yeah. So basically, we have our own SDKs as well. I mean, our own IDEs as well. But it's definitely up to you, your choice. Whatever you
So your own IDE used in which OS?
It's Eclipse based as well. It's available across the board, and it's more for TVs. That one is more for TVs. So it has our simulators plugged in. But yes, by and far for our mobile tablet, it is also Eclipse. And then of course, for the sake of time, I didn't include it, but we're also looking for compelling Windows 8 apps for the PC. Like I said, we're not just a mobile manufacturer, we have home appliances across the range. And what's interesting is to stay tuned, because we will have APIs for like air conditioners and fridges in time to come. I see a puzzled look on this gentleman's face. Why a fridge? Think about it. You want to show a recipe on your fridge platform, and so that when someone opens the fridge, he can take out what kind of items.
I was thinking of the aircon actually.
Well, very simple. When you're driving home and you want to turn on your aircon, you hit an app on your mobile device at what temperature. Yeah. And also our washing machines. Yeah, so for busy couples, you go home at 6 o'clock, you want to turn on your washing machine to wash your clothes, so when you get home you can put them in the dryer. We will have SDKs for that as well, and you will see that time to come. So I hope this has been informative. As I mentioned, my cards are here. I'll be happy to stay back, talk to you guys. I'll be even more happy if you guys reach out to me after today, talk about what kind of apps you guys are doing, regardless for this contest or on your own, coding on Android to let me, have a discussion. All right, thanks guys. Have a wonderful day.